All right, welcome to the Explainer. So, what if you could get a full report card on your brain and body's health in, say, just 3 minutes? Today, we're going to decode a service that claims it can listen in on your body's secret signals using some pretty advanced brainwave analysis and AI. So, let's dive in and see what this is all about.
You know, our bodies are pretty much talking to us constantly, sending out all these little signals about our health. The thing is, most of us, we don't really speak the language. And that's exactly the gap this service promises it can fill.
So, let's just ask a direct question. How healthy are your brain and body really at this very moment? It sounds simple, but answering that honestly, it's tough, right? The idea here is to get a real, concrete answer, not by guessing, but by looking directly at the biological data itself. Just think about it for a second. That nagging feeling of fatigue, not being able to focus, or a sudden mood swing that comes out of nowhere. The whole idea behind this service is that these aren't just random things happening. They're data points. They're signals that, if you could just interpret them correctly, could paint a much, much clearer picture of your health.
Okay, so how in the world do you actually capture all those signals, let alone make sense of them? Well, the answer this service gives is a super fast, high-tech health snapshot.
And get this, that's the big promise. We're talking just 3 minutes. Using what the service calls scientific brainwave analysis, it claims it can give you a rapid, pretty accurate measurement of where your health stands right now.
So after the scan is done, you get a report. It comes with a basic guide that helps you understand your results, but you could also choose to go for a deeper dive with much more detailed explanations of what it all really means for you.
The analysis itself is basically broken down into 2 main parts. And first up, we're going to look inside your brain. The technology here is all about zooming in on your brain waves to get a clear reading of your mental state.
This is all done using EEG. That stands for electroencephalography. And what it's really doing is, well, it's listening in on the electrical chatter happening between your brain's neurons. This chatter creates patterns we call brainwaves. And these patterns can apparently reveal a ton, from your stress levels to how well you're actually concentrating. The analysis then sorts all this brain activity into several key areas. We're talking about things like how efficiently your brain is working, your stress levels, the quality of your sleep, your emotional state, focus, and even the balance between your logical left brain and your creative right brain.
So let's just grab that first one on the list, the Brain Utilization Index. Sounds super complicated, right? But what they say it really boils down to is how well your brain can switch gears between focusing hard and just, resting. So what's the difference between a high score and a low one?
And look, the stakes they're claiming here are, well, they're pretty high. A high index, on one hand, is linked to things like efficient energy use and getting that really deep, restorative sleep. But a low index, that's a different story. They connect that to feeling tired all the time, being super sensitive to stress, and what the service even calls a long-term risk of cognitive decline. It really seems to connect your brain's efficiency to your day-to-day quality of life.
Okay, but hold on, because the analysis doesn't just stop with your brain. The second part of this whole snapshot claims to go even deeper, shifting the focus to your entire body, right down to the cellular level.
And for this part, the body scan, they use this device called a Quantum Resonance Magnetic Analyzer, or QRMA for short. According to the company, this thing is based on principles from quantum physics and is used to analyze the health of your body's cells.
So here's the basic theory of how it supposedly works. Every single cell in your body, they say, gives off its own unique energy wave. Healthy cells have a nice, stable wave. But damaged or unhealthy cells, their wave is different. It's altered. And this QRMA device is supposedly designed to pick up on those tiny, tiny changes.
And the scope here is just massive. They claim this one device analyzes 200 different cellular biosignals to build out its picture of what's really going on inside you.
All that data then gets crunched to check out a huge range of areas. We're talking major organ function, your bone health, nutrient levels, how your immune system is doing, even gender-specific health markers. All of it gets sorted into 39 major categories.
So the whole process is actually laid out in 3 pretty simple steps. First, the device detects your body's cellular signals. Simple enough. Then, it compares those signals against a huge database of what's considered normal data to spot any deviations. And finally, it reports back to you, highlighting your cellular health and pointing out any areas that might need a closer look.
Okay, but collecting all this data from your brain and your body, that's really only half the battle, right? How do you actually turn all that information into a plan you can use? Well, that is where the AI steps in.
And this really gets to the heart of what this service is all about. The goal isn't just to throw a bunch of raw numbers at you. No, they're claiming the real value is in the interpretation of all that complex data.
So this is what that AI analysis recordedly delivers. It synthesizes everything, the brain scan and the body scan, to interpret all the data, pinpoint what it sees as the most urgent health concerns, and then offer you some personalized guidance.
So what's the big picture promise here? The ultimate goal? Well, the service claims that by acting on this AI-driven analysis, users can potentially recover lost health, slow down the aging process, and get their brain and body balanced for peak performance.
And that really just brings us to the final question, doesn't it? Whether you use a technology like this or you just start learning to listen a little more closely, it really makes you wonder, what secret signals might your own body be sending you right now?